Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Gateway Podcast, coming to you from Clarksville, Tennessee, also known as the Gateway to the New South. We are proudly progressive members of the Montgomery County Democratic Party, and we're here to bring hope to our community and connect progressive folk here in Montgomery County with the larger Democratic movement. My name is Rebecca Johnson. I'm the Communications Chair for the Montgomery County Democratic Party. I'm here with Representative for District 67, Representative Ronnie Glynn, and also Chaz Offerman, who is our former chair.
Hello. Good to be with you.
Yep. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for joining us today.
That's how you doing? How you doing? Thank y'all for inviting me. It's always great to be amongst our folks.
You came up from Nashville to be here?
I did. I came out of Nashville today. Had to actually I dropped my wife off at the airport and I stopped by the office and did a little work and came on back.
And here we are back
in
Clarksville. Okay, well, I'm gonna start with asking some questions to get to know you a little bit. So I know that before you were a representative, you used to be in the Army. Is that right? So can you tell us a little bit about why you joined the Army and how that changed your life?
Yeah. So obviously born in rural Tennessee, rural West Tennessee, Lauderdale County. Grew up poor, but lived in poverty, obviously. As a young kid, just, struggling to make it happen and struggling to put food on the table. As a young man, I chopped cotton at the age of 13. I remember having to go up the hill and ask the neighbor for a chicken because we just didn't have anything to eat. So growing up in poverty and just, wanting to do better, I started working at this plant that made stonewashed jeans. And as I was working there, work began to slow down at the time. But I also, as a young man, and had somehow accumulated 2 kids before I knew it. So as I was working at this plant, just trying to take care of my kids, the work had begun to slow down. And when it did, I remember, very, very clear, we were supposed to have some work the following day. I get up that morning to go to work and I get a phone call. And the phone call said, "Hey, Ronnie, the truck didn't come in. We don't have any work for you today."
Oh, wow.
And so I sat on the edge of the bed and I just thought to myself, this is not what I want. I didn't want my kids to grow up the way that I grew up, having to struggle and trying to make a life. And so, luckily I had an uncle who was in the military. He happened to be down in Memphis. So I called him up and said, "Hey, I got to do something. This is not what I want." So at 9:00, I drove to Memphis, joined the Army, came back. And at the time, it was actually during a very tough time. It was during Desert Storm. So, yeah. So, my mother she wasn't really happy that I had made that decision, but it was a decision that I had to make because I didn't want that life for my kids. So I joined the Army and 23 and a half years later, I never looked back and I've enjoyed the life it was able to provide for me and my kids and my family. So I don't regret it physically, I paid a price, but it takes a toll. But overall, it was the best decision I could have ever made for myself and my family.
So would you say it changed the trajectory of where you were heading?
Oh, absolutely. Because, I can go back home now and show you, folks that I grew up with, went to school with. And unfortunately, many of them are just still doing the same thing. It not to knock rural Tennessee, but jobs are just not plentiful in the rural communities. You don't have the factories and things like that that can really get people out of poverty like you do in more about urban and metropolitan areas. So it changed the trajectory of my life and my family's life because, again, I did not want that life for my kids, for my family. I wasn't married at the time, but I did not want that life for them. And so I was happy with the decision I made and, as I look back, sometimes I think, what am I doing and how did I get here? So it's always interesting to just think back and say, man, this was never in the cards for me,
So life was coming at you pretty fast that day.
Oh, absolutely. I did not want, again, as I sat on the edge of that bed and realizing, the struggle as a young man, the age of 13, you chopping cotton, picking peas, picking tomatoes, and you had to take that money to buy your school clothes. Like that was how you got school clothes. And unfortunately, sometimes you had to have mom and dad to pay the water bill or the light bill, put food on the table. So it was a struggle, and it was our way of life in rural Tennessee, rural West Tennessee. So again, looking back and thinking about how far I've come as a young, from this young man who had no idea what he was going to do in life to where I am today is
you were in for a while, 20 years,
23 and over 23 years, a little bit, about 23 and a half years.
Did you ever think you'd make it a career?
Not when I joined. When I joined, my plan was, I'm going to do 5 years and, I'm going to get out and I'm going to come back home. Things should be better. And so I get in and that plan was there for about the first 2 years. It was still 2, 3, 5 years and get out. But somewhere around the third and fourth year, I began to realize, what am I going to go back to? There was nothing at home that had really changed that was going to make life better for me. So I started to change my mind about, can I do this? Can I do this? And when I did that, I really put my foot down in my career and started thinking, okay, if I'm going to stay in, I need to get promoted. So I started working really hard toward getting promoted and things like that. I was fortunate enough to go to Korea, and that really turned things around for me and mentally and the fact that at that point I knew then this was going to be a career. As a matter of fact, while I was in Korea, I re-enlisted for 10 years. It wasn't just a 5-year enlistment at that point. It was a 10-year enlistment. So I knew then I was in for 15 years. And of course, 15 became 23. So yeah, that was the kind of that turning point as I spent my time in the 82nd,
That's in North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. And so I began to enjoy what I was doing. And again, I'm watching my life turn to in a better place, financially. My family was able to kind of do some things because, we started, even when I joined, it was tough because when my wife and I got married, and I moved her and at the time, my stepdaughter to North Carolina, the first 2 weeks that we were there, all three of us slept on the floor. We had no furniture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had no furniture. So all three of us slept on the floor. Back then, I was getting paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so until you get paid, you got
That's how you got paid. Yeah, you could either do once a month or every 2 weeks. And when you have no money, you want it every 2 weeks. And so I would get paid every 2 weeks. So when they, it took money to go get them. So I don't have, it took money to pay down up on the house. So the first 2 weeks, me, my wife, and my daughter, we all slept on the floor in the living room. So the second 2 weeks when I got paid, I was able to get my daughter a bedroom set to get her off the floor. So me and my wife, we kept sleeping on the floor. So then the next 2 weeks, it come another paycheck. I bought a living room set so we could have something to sit on in the living room. So my wife got off the floor and got on the couch. I continued to sleep on the floor.
Oh my goodness.
And then the next 2 weeks, I was able to buy us a bedroom set. So for about the first month and a half, I slept on the floor. And so it was a struggle to get to that. But, again, we look back on it and say, man, I don't know how we got here. And then, and I love God, and I think God had a plan for me. He was playing a trick on me or something. Because at the end of them 6 weeks, we got off the floor, we got furniture. Find out my wife pregnant. I said, Lord, what are you doing to me? And I just got off the floor, and so
you gotta buy some more furniture.
Yeah, I gotta buy some more furniture. So, it was like, oh my God, man. We found out she was pregnant. So the struggle begins again. And so
you served through 3 wars,
3 combat tours,
5 or 6 countries.
Yeah, if you think add the
Italy, South Korea.
Italy, South Korea, of course, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
I mean,
yeah. So
in Kuwait, maybe.
Kuwait was more like a passing through.
Yeah.
But obviously, you land there and get ready to go into combat. But yeah, two to
and worst of all, North Carolina.
I love North Carolina.
So yeah,
eventually Clarksville.
Yeah, that's really what I want to know.
Yeah, and so
how do you get from North Carolina to here?
So in North Carolina, interesting fun fact is I jumped out of airplanes. That's how I ended up in North Carolina because I did sign up for airborne when I joined the Army. I like to say my uncle tricked me into doing that. He said, "Oh, Ronnie, man, that you get the extra $90," and of course. $90 sounded good back in 1990, right? That's extra money.
That's a mattress.
That's furniture.
Yeah.
So so it was extra $90 back. I think it was 90, it may have been 75. But either way, I joined and the airborne is what got me to 82nd Airborne. But I would tell you that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And those are the two preeminent airborne, like 82nd, 101st, right?
Yeah.
In the Army.
Yeah. So if you want to do anything, those are the two you want to go to first because of the discipline level that you're going to get. I tell it's an interesting story even on that. There was about 7 of us who came out of basic and AIT together and came to Fort Bragg. Three of us ended up in 82nd. The other 4 ended up on the other side of the base, what we call COSCOM back in the day. Of the 7 of us, the 3 of us who went to the 82nd all retired. The 4 that went to the other side, 2 went AWOL, 1 went to jail, and we don't know what happened to it. So it was, I think about that, and I think that was the best thing to happen to me, was to go to the 82nd, even though, you heard all the horror stories, the 82nd is 80, but it was the best thing that happened.
So it's got a reputation of being tough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
More so than the 101st. I don't want to start any fights
here. Don't start no fights, Both of them are highly disciplined divisions.
Yeah.
They demand a lot of servicemen, which you should, because that discipline is what's going to save you on the battlefield. And so they both demanded a lot, especially in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And things like that. So it was good for me. Like I say, it was the best thing that ever happened. From there, I was able to go to Korea and then back to Fort Bragg, where I spent another 6.5 years in Special Forces. Again, the greatest thing that ever happened because it allowed me to get promoted. It allowed me to really learn, the dynamics of how to be a good leader in the military. From there to Italy, and then after Italy is when I started on my combat tours. I did 3 combat tours in a span of about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quick, and so they came fast. But
so for 6 years you were either on combat tour or getting ready to go back on.
Absolutely. So it was stuff after my first combat tour in Iraq. That's when I came to Fort Campbell back in 2006. And soon as I got here, I think 12 months later, we were deploying. So soon as you get here, you're getting ready. And that at that time, that was the 15-month deployment. So when I left, I knew I was going to be gone for 15 months. So I come back from that. 12 months later, we were gone again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nonstop. So, but again, you kind of knew that's what's going to be the process. At that time, we were in the middle of 2 wars. So you were going to go.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how quickly you were going to go. And, God forbid you make it back home, you want to come back home. And so I was thankful that I was able to come back home.
Yeah.
And so you're getting to a point in your career where it's winding down in the Army side.
At that point, yeah, I was getting later in my career. And at that point, I was at E7, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make E8, but I was kind of, especially at that last deployment.
What are those ranks called for those of us
Master
who don't know?
Sergeant. So E7 is Sergeant First Class. E8 is Master Sergeant. At that point, I kind of was tired. I'd been in a little bit over 18, 19 years. So I knew I was kind of ready to get ready to go on. So after that last deployment, I knew I was ready to hang up the boots. And then all of a sudden I make the E8 list and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And so I ended up another 2.5, 3 years in.
It's like The Godfather. Just when you think you're out, they're pulling you back again.
I think roll you back.
Yeah, he just God has a sense of humor. He just kept throwing it at me, so I was fortunate enough to retire as a master sergeant. So I'm not upset about that.
And that's about as high as you can go.
Well, there's one more rank, but I would tell you, to be honest with you, a lot of folks who get selected for E9, they turn it down because of it's way more than some want. And at that time, the Army, the Army was beginning to change. So to be a sergeant major at that time, you had to really want to do something there. But the Army was beginning to change then. The discipline level, unfortunately, was beginning to come down a little. So you really had to want to just hold on to the rank at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's really what a lot of people want to do now. You see a lot of them turning it down. A lot of folks getting out at 12 and 15 years, and that's unheard of back in my day. A lot of them, we used to say, if you do 10, you might well stay 20.
Yeah.
That was it just
made
sense.
Retirement.
It just made sense.
Yeah.
But now you see, E7s, E8s getting out with 5 and 6 years left in the Army, and they're like, I can't do it anymore. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay.
So sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you came out of the Army and you decided to stay in Clarksville?
Yeah.
Well, this is home. Like I said, Tennessee is actually home. Clarksville, when we moved here in 2006, we came here for the reason of my 2 boys who I joined the Army because of was still in West Tennessee. Of course, they were young teenagers at the time. So I had spent most of my career 12 hours away, right? So it was difficult to get to them on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. So having an opportunity to come to Fort Campbell put me about 2.5 hours from them. So that's a quick weekend drive. At the same time, my wife's mother lived in Lake County, which is the same thing, 2.5 hours away. So it made sense for us to come here because her mother was getting older at the time, and obviously we all getting older, but she wanted to be closer, and so it made sense for us to come here. Plus, again, Tennessee is home, born and raised. So coming here made all the sense in the world. So we came here, we planted roots and things like that, and kind of just, gone from there. And so that was in 2006. And then, like I said, retired in 2014. So it wasn't something that I just arbitrarily said, oh, let me go to Fort Campbell. It was a strategic move for family.
To be in the family. Okay. And you got into politics, but not right away.
No, not right away. So right after I retired, really before I retired, I already had started a business. It was a maintenance company. And so I did that for about 6 years. And of course, maintenance takes a physical toll on you as well because it's maintenance, right? So it began to take another physical toll on me. So I was like, man, let me find something else to do. And so I went on base for a while and worked in housing for the contracting company at Fort Campbell. And then as well as the DOD. But then I was, I started thinking, I wanted to also have my own business. So got into the inflatables. I don't know why. That was just as physical as the maintenance. So, but it was good. And at the time we were coming in we were getting ready for COVID. So a lot of folks were at home with nothing to do. And the kids are sitting at home, and folks needed them kids to burn some energy. So it made sense.
So it didn't wipe out your business.
Oh, it was great for business. My first year in the inflatable business, I made over $100,000.
Wow.
Because again, it was unfortunately during COVID.
Yeah.
People were sitting at home. They had nothing to do. The kids had nothing to do. They had nowhere to go. So it's like, hey, bring me an inflatable. Bring me a water slide. Bring me something. These kids need to burn energy.
A lot of birthday parties happening at home.
Yeah, there's a lot of really close neighborhood parties. not a lot of folks around, but it gave the kids they had to burn some energy off because sitting there at home every day and
Well, we bought a trampoline. I had a 6-year-old.
You needed that. They needed to burn some energy. So
it was hard.
But it was a great business. Still is a great business. I had to let it go this year or in October of last year because physically it had just become way too much to the point to where I just recently had knee surgery back in March, total knee replacement, and you got to have another one in September. So, 10 years of jumping out of planes, another 10, 15 years of hard maintenance and labor, it finally takes its toll.
Yeah.
But, life goes on.
So you start the business in 2020 for the inflatables. That's also the year that you decide to run for office the first time?
Yes.
Were you thinking I need to be more busy?
No. That is the last thing that was on my mind.
Life.
Yeah.
Not for Ronnie, no.
I like I say, I was working on base at the time for the contracted maintenance company, and I was a quality control guy for homes. I did inspections, and so wasn't even thinking about politics. It wasn't on my mind. We all watch it, but I wasn't into it like that. I just watched what was going on in the world we were living in. And I was inspecting a home one day, and I was getting ready to go upstairs to inspect the upstairs. And as I get ready to go up, I said, man, let me just take a quick 15-minute break. So I sit on the stairs, and what's the first thing we always do? We grab our phone and thumb through, check to see what's going on in the world or whatever. So I see this Facebook post from one of my ex-soldiers, Monica Meeks. Everybody knows Monica, right?
And everybody specifically knows Monica Meeks' Facebook page.
Yeah, right. So
it's
Monica,
like the town hall.
It's a town hall.
That's where the business goes down.
And so Monica had made a post that said, hey, does anybody want to run against Bill Power? And all I did was push like. That's it. I didn't comment.
Liked that.
I didn't do anything. I pushed like.
Did you know who Bill Powers was at that point?
No. I didn't know who he was.
Okay.
I knew he was state senator. I knew he was the state senator because it says, does anybody want to run against state senator Bill Powers?
Yeah.
But other than that, like I said, I wasn't following politics like that.
Yeah.
I was just, I was a voter. I voted. Good. And I followed the news, a little bit of the local politics, but I wasn't like into that deep. And like I said, all I did was push like, and then all of a sudden I got well, what about you? And I'm like, nah, I'm not into it like that. You ain't got to be. We just need somebody to run. And so that went on a couple of minutes and, thread wise. And then before I knew it, I think in a span of about 10 minutes, I had 3 phone calls from Nashville. I'm dead serious. I had about 3 phone calls from Nashville. Hey, I hear you thinking about running. I'm like, no, you hear that?
Because it's pretty close to the deadline.
Yes.
The deadline is like days away.
No.
It's like the day before.
No. Let me give you the story on that too.
Yeah.
So here it is. I get like 3 phone calls. It's like, hey, I heard you thinking about running. I'm like, no, that's not what So of course they like, oh, it's not as what you think. And then next thing I know, I'm like, oh man, I guess so. Now, it's like 12 o'clock the day before the deadline. Because you got to have your paperwork turned in by noon. Keep in mind, we're in the middle of COVID too. Like COVID had just kicked off. So I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? Like, okay, I guess. So I get the phone call and he's like, hey, you got to go down and get your petition today. And you got to have 25 signatures.
Yeah,
And it's got to be turned in by noon tomorrow. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I know a lot of people, but I don't know 25 people in the district, in Montgomery County that can sign this.
Yeah.
So, Monica was like, I can help you. And I think Juanita said she could help me. And at that time, I was like, okay. So I went back to my office and I said, hey, I'm going to take off the rest of the day. I didn't tell them what I was doing, but I was like, hey, I'm going to take off the rest of the day. So I go down to the election commission and I get my petition. They tell me, hey, it's got to be turned in by 12 tomorrow. Make sure they were more like get 50 signatures because you're always going to have somebody that doesn't, that's not going to be qualified. I'm like, hey, what am I doing? I ain't going to be able to get no doggone 25 signatures, but I had to grab my paper. I took it out. Monica had some folk. Juanita had some folk. Then I get a call from someone I don't even know. Had never heard the name before. I get a phone call from a lady named Karen Reynolds, who was working at the hospital at the time.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
And Karen was like, hey, I heard you running. I can stop by your house and grab if you need help with signatures, I can stop and get some signatures for you. And I'm like, yeah, I need it. Because you get like 4 or 5 sheets, right? And so she did. She stopped by the house, and I wasn't there because I was out getting signatures. And so she stopped by the house and got the paper. And she literally, that night about 8 o'clock, I went to pick it up. She had 15 signatures already.
Wow.
I think she had filled out a page.
That's Karen.
Yeah. And so now I'm sitting there and by this time I had 20, I think I had like 20, maybe I had 32 signatures or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. I ain't gonna get 50, but 32 should be fine.
Hopefully.
Y'all not gonna believe this story, but this is how it happened. So I go in the next morning to the election commission because they got to verify. Right? They start verifying my paper. Of those 30 plus names, I think it was 32, 8 were no good.
Oh.
So you're one short?
So I'm one short. It's already 9 o'clock at this point. It's like 9:15, 9:20. And I'm like,
so like, gotta find a constituent.
Where am I gonna find somebody to sign? So I think at that time, I didn't really know Commissioner Leverett, but she had called me and said, hey, because she didn't get a chance to sign. She said, if you need a signature, I'll do it. But I had already took it in, and I was like, okay, let me try to call her. But by this time, remember, it's COVID, so nobody's around. But just so happened, there's a lady that walks in. I don't know this lady. If she walked past me today, I wouldn't know. At the time, Elizabeth Black was the election commission lady. She said, hey, ma'am, he's one signature short. Do you mind signing his petition? Because she said, the lady looked at me and said, are you Republican or Democrat? I said, Democrat. She said, you're neither, and signed the paper. That was my 25th signature.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yes, she signed it. So then, okay, now I got my 25 signatures. They give me my certification. I'm good. Nope. I thought I was. They thought I was. So I walk out, and a couple of minutes later, I get a phone call. They said, Elizabeth Black. She said, Ronnie, she said, we have a problem. It has to be turned in by 12 noon. So normally at the time we had Houston County and Stewart County.
Yeah.
So that means it's got to be turned in by noon at Houston County and Stewart County.
Yeah.
She can't fax it. You have to turn the original in. So normally they would mail it out.
But you're on the last day. So.
We already on the last day. So I had to turn around, go back to the election commission. They gave me the copies to take to Houston and Stewart. So I had to literally drive it to Houston County and Stewart County. And I got to Stewart County at by the time I dropped off in Houston, and of course it's COVID.
Each town's like 45 minutes.
Yes, you got to remember it's COVID, so there's nobody out at this time. They give me the address. I go to Houston, and it wasn't like it was right there. You had to kind of dig in there and find it. So I went to the courthouse because I couldn't find it. Of course, the door locked at the courthouse. I'm like, where is this doggone place?
Yeah.
So finally I find it. Go in there, and I'm the only one in there. There's nobody on the streets to say, hey, this, that, or third. I get it turned in. I'm good in Houston. Now I got to drive to Stewart. I drive to Stewart County. I got to Stewart County. It's like 11:40.
Wow.
I'm dead serious.
20 minutes away.
Yeah, it was like 11:40. So I gave him the paperwork. So now I'm on everybody's ballot, and I'm driving back to Clarksville saying to myself, what have you done? I'm serious. I'm like, what have you done?
Right.
So then I get all that. And at the time, I think Dr. Neal, she was the political chair for the party. She called me like the next day, and she introduced herself. She said, I'm going to give you a call in a couple of days and kind of go over some stuff. And she did. She calls me a couple of days later because I'm sitting there like, I don't even know what I'm like, how to even start.
No.
I don't.
It's a little more than putting your name on the ballot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how to start. So she calls me and she's like, So here's what things, when she got through talking, I had a page and a half
Yeah.
of notes.
Yeah. Doesn't
And I'm
surprise
not talking about paragraph, I'm talking about like one-liners.
Yeah.
I said, "What in the world?"
And it's like, talk to this person,
Yeah,
go over
I'm like,
here.
yeah, I'm
set
like,
the bank account.
yeah, I'm like, this,
Yeah.
I know this ain't gonna work. But you start getting the hang of it, getting into the swing. You start learning a little bit more what you need to do, how you need to do it. So by the time, early voting and election time came up, I kind of had an idea of what had taken place and how we got there. And unfortunately, I lost, but I felt I did really good. I got 29,000 votes for a guy who no one ever knew.
Yeah,
29,000 was pretty good. And so at that time, I knew at that moment I was not going to get out of politics because I felt like, you know, it was an opportunity to continue to serve, but in a different capacity. So even after I lost, I actually joined the Montgomery County Veteran Coalition and worked with them. I joined another one. I can't remember what it was, but I stayed active at that time.
Did running and not winning, did that, even not winning, did that open your eyes to like all the different parts of the community that maybe you didn't know about before?
It did. I mean, obviously, as you get out and you're knocking on doors, you didn't really get to talk to a lot of people at the time. Again, we're in the middle of COVID, but you kind of get to understand the dynamics of the community and, of course, your district. And you start to realize how so many people are not engaged in voting that should be. If you starting to say, hey, we need to talk to these people more and get people more engaged and try to get them to understand the political process and why it's so important that we vote. So that did happen. I also got an opportunity to start learning the different organizations that were out there that were pushing for folks to try to get people registered to vote, to try to get people to the polls. So it was a very good opportunity. It was a very good learning experience, even though I lost. I didn't consider it a loss of that took me out. I considered it a loss of learning. Like I was able to really learn from the loss on how to get better.
Yeah, it's good.
And you wouldn't be in the state house now.
No.
If you hadn't run that first time.
Absolutely, because again, I got to know Bill Powers, even though he won. I got to know Jason Hodges, who was in the seat at the time. So it was an opportunity to really get to learn and talk with other politicians, going to the Capitol. And at the time, I had met Benson Dixie as well. And I think he was in his first year at that time, or maybe he was in his second year, but I got to know him. And I wasn't even running for a House seat. I was running for a Senate seat. But, Benson had reached out to just talk and things. So it was an opportunity to learn a lot about how politics work, who's disenfranchised, what can you do to change the dynamics of some of the folks' lives, what you could do if you were to ever get there.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it in that aspect and just kind of waited. If there was ever going to be another opportunity to run, then I knew I was going to try to run.
So you did run again in 22?
Yes. So Jason Hodges at the time, Representative Hodges, he had decided he wasn't going to run again.
Yeah, that's true.
And he reached out and said, hey, Ronnie, I'm not going to run again. I think you would be a great candidate for this seat. So I pushed back on it a little bit because number one, I didn't think he was really going to not run. It just didn't make sense to me because, but he was adamant that he wasn't going to run. And he was adamant that he felt that I could win the seat. And so long story short, obviously I ended up running for the seat. It was a very tough race. And then that's kind of when I got to know this guy sitting over here.
His campaign manager.
Yeah, he somehow I made a mistake and made him my campaign manager.
We were stuck together.
You were stuck together like glue. Yeah,
you had some tight elections, right?
Yeah. So during that time, actually, I joke with Chaz all the time, but having Chaz as my campaign manager in that first election Had it not been that, had I not had him, I would not have moved. That's just the honest truth.
We were good for each other.
Yeah, he knew the ins and outs of politics and what I needed to do, even when I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
We laugh a lot.
There's a lot of things you didn't want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't want to do. We laugh a lot because there were several times when we would get mad at each other and stop talking, but we kept texting, right?
Yeah,
because we knew we still had to do the work.
Yeah.
We just wasn't talking at the time, and so Chaz was always like, "Well, he'll come around. We'll just keep working, but he'll come around." But during that time, even though there was a lot of things I didn't want to do, Chaz was like, you got to do it. And I don't think it was anything that I did not actually do, even though I did not want to do. Because, in the end, I had to put the trust in the guy who's been doing it for so long. And he's not telling me something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and he's not going to waste your time.
Yeah, it was just I didn't want to do it. Yeah. Like knock doors in the rain.
No, we knock doors in the rain.
But we knock doors in the rain.
Yeah, it's some of those days you really don't want to be doing that stuff, but it's what's going to get you.
It's what's going to get you over the threshold. And so I did that, and we did what we needed to do. It was, like I said, a very tough race against Tommy Vallejo's. But we won. We pulled it out. Very tight race, 153 votes, I believe it was.
Wow.
And so it was a tough race. It was a close race, but we felt good about it. But man, that was a little close for comfort for me.
That is very close. But then in 2024, that was also close.
Way too close.
But tell me about getting ready for the 2024 election result.
So 2024, so obviously I win, and now I'm my first time elected official.
Yeah.
And obviously I've learned a lot more, and I know a lot more about how to run a race and what kind of race you want to run. So I knew I never wanted to run a negative race. Right. That's just never something I want to do, because I've always felt if you're going to tell somebody a story, tell them the story about you and what you can do.
Yeah.
Don't trash your opponent, because you're trying to step on your opponent to lift yourself up, and that's not me.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to make sure I ran a very positive race. So in the lead up to the 2024 election, at the time, Chaz had moved on to do bigger and better things. Running the county party and being the state's political director. So I had taken on a new campaign manager in Taylor Ray. So what was so ironic, she was actually my intern during my first election where I won. So I knew we had the continuity to continue on with the great work that we had done. And so in that, we did what we needed to do. We felt good about the race, but of course, things change. The political winds can change at any moment.
And they did.
And they changed somewhere around September, maybe.
They put out some negative.
Yeah, around September, October, the political winds begin to change. And the thing about Montgomery County, it kind of leans toward where the federal level is going. So if the federal level is going one way, Montgomery County tends to go that way, and things like that. So we begin to see the federal level change, the dynamics of what we thought was going to be a Democratic win at the federal level. So, but as those winds begin to change, they also begin to change here in Montgomery County. But we continued on the trajectory that we had laid out. We knew what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it, and we stuck with it. We did not change a thing, but we knew that those winds were changing. With that being said, the only thing I would say we did do a little bit was we knocked on way more doors than probably what we had anticipated. But that was us knocking 7 days a week, right? So we knocked every day. And it wasn't like we just had this big group of people. It was like a core 4 or 5 people that knocked all the time. And so, but we knocked on a lot of doors. And then we had a couple of, groups that was out that was knocking on doors. And the great thing about Montgomery County at the time was we actually had someone in every race.
We did.
Full ballot.
We had a full ballot. So we had a lot of people energized throughout the county.
We did, yeah.
And so everyone knew that there was an election. And so we worked hard. We knocked on the doors. We raised a lot of money. We got, our mailers out. We were able to tell the story, the Ronnie Glynn story and things like that. So that was a good thing that happened.
There's a moment that I'd love to take them inside, and it happened. There was 2 stages. It happened in here, right over there in that corner, and it was a couple days before Election Day, and we were practicing a victory speech and a concession speech. And you did not want to think about a concession speech.
I was extremely angry that we were focusing on a concession speech. Not because I did not believe that there needed to be one. I was angry because I felt we were focusing way more time on the concession than on the victory. And I specifically said that. I said, why are we spending more time trying to make sure that the concession speech is good or that it does this or does that and not more time on the victory speech? And so I was not happy that day we were in here working on the speeches, and I didn't want to read the concession speech. Because I still, in my hearts of heart, I still felt good about the race. And so, the fact that we were working more on the concession made me upset because I felt like maybe everybody didn't feel like I feel that Ronnie was going to win this race.
And you're putting negative
energy out there. It just didn't feel good, and so I was pretty peeved at this.
But you did have the concession speech ready.
I had one, but I'm gonna tell you now, it was I was not happy because again, I felt we spent way too much time on the concession and not enough time on the victory speech. So, but in that same conversation, and again, knowing that, hey, here's the election, the political winds have changed in the last few months. We know this. It became as the elected official at the time, if the night does not turn out the way we want it to, folks will be leaning on you to be the uniter for the party. Yeah. And so even understanding that, I still wasn't happy. Like I knew where what the conversation was about and why we wanted to do it that way. But I was not happy about doing a concession speech. But again,
you didn't have to give it.
I didn't have to give it.
You did
I do want to take us to election night.
Yeah.
Because and to set the scene for those of you that may or may not been there, the Democratic Party had set up in a hotel on the north side of town, and most of the folks were in a big ballroom, and they were drinking and having a great time, at least for the early part.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the campaign staff, we had a boardroom rented out, and we were receiving the results and trying to decide or trying to understand if we were going to win or lose these different races. And then each candidate has a hotel room upstairs. Ronnie's there with a bunch of family members. You've got grandkids and kids and aunts and uncles and cousins and hanging out. And, in this night, we are seeing, I think we find out Garfield has lost first. Then we find out Karen's lost. Allie had a little closer race, but ultimately loses. And then it's around the time that we're finding out Allie has lost that Trump has won and that Kamala has lost.
Yeah.
And so the air has been sucked out of this hotel and people are starting to leave.
It was horrible.
And we finally find out that you win by 134 votes. So walk us through how you experienced election night.
So, yeah, it was bad. Of course, being upstairs, you don't see all this, right? Yeah. You don't know what's going on downstairs, but at the same time, you're knowing that folks are losing and it's not good. Like it's what we thought was going to be a good night was turning into a bad night. And then we're waiting on the results of my race, and they're coming in and they're looking good. The first dump comes out, and I'm up 500. But that was early voting.
Yeah.
That was early voting. So we know early voting was going to come out kind of in our favor, but we wasn't sure. But when it did, we felt good about it. But now we got election day results. And historically, we know that Republicans vote on election day. And so we're thinking about, okay, we know it's going to get tight because of that. So here we go. The numbers are coming in from the different precincts, and they're coming in, and the numbers are getting closer and closer. And somewhere they get stuck around a little bit over 200 or something. And then all of a sudden we realize no one ever got the numbers for this last precinct. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. So now we have to wait until the election commission posts. We did not realize that it was going to be 11 o'clock before they posted that number. And so it was very, very, the air was beginning to come out of the room because it's getting later. The numbers are not out. We know that it's going to tighten up even more. We just don't know. And that particular precinct that we were waiting on, we knew that it was a Republican precinct. It normally votes.
Northeast, that's what?
It was Rossville, I believe it was.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
We knew that it kind of votes Republican.
Yeah.
So we knew.
We thought you had enough to win it outright.
Yeah, but that as we're waiting on this Republican precinct, we're like, oh my God.
Do they have 134 more votes?
Yeah, do they have
Thank
it
God
or
they
not?
didn't.
And so, not knowing what's going on downstairs, it's really just kind of the air is just kind of going out. Then they finally post, and we're like, yes. So we get ready, we go downstairs, and as we're going downstairs, it's very somber downstairs. It is not.
It was like
it's not what I was thinking.
It was a state of shock.
It was bad. It's almost as if you don't want to even go in and give the victory speech because everyone is just so gone. And the room was pretty much empty. Everyone had went home. A lot of
people left,
and so there wasn't a lot of people there. It may have been 20 if I'm lucky. And, it's kind of like, okay, let's just throw this out here. So, this is the only shining light of the night.
And your opponent didn't concede.
And the opponent, she never called. She never called and said a word. So I thought that was interesting. But, life goes on. So it was very somber. It's almost as if you don't want to give the speech because everyone's already kind of down, and you're supposed to give this jipper speech at this point, and it's like,
you did though. You all came in like,
yeah, but I wanted to do it a little bit different, but at that point I just wanted to get through the speech and let people go home because they were ready. People were ready to go home. They stuck around because they knew we were waiting on my results, and they wanted to just say hi to Ronnie, but people were ready to go home.
Yeah.
So, but a win's a win, whether you win by 1 or whether you win by 100.
It is, and you did. So, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because we're running out of time. So let's move on to where do we go from here? So you won very close races the last 2 times, and there are going to be obviously midterm elections next year, which we feel as Democratic Party are going to be hopefully a turning point in general across the country. So how are you preparing for 2026? And what advice would you have for people who are considering running in 2026?
So I'm preparing like I did in 2022, 2024. I'm going to prepare the same way. We're going to, we're already fundraising, which we do that to get a head start on campaign fund. I'm not going to stop getting out in the community like I've been doing. I think I got 2 events tomorrow. Of course, we got the barbecue tomorrow. Yeah, we got a lot of going on there. And I think there's another event that I'll be participating in tomorrow. So I'm going to continue to do what I've always done, which is be in the community, talk with folks, go where I need to go where I don't need to go sometime, to make sure that I'm being available for everyone. So I'm going to run my campaign just like I ran it the last couple of years. Nothing's going to change per se. My advice to anyone who's thinking about running is, start now. So many times people wait, trying to make a decision on whether they're going to run or they're not going to run. If you're even thinking about it, get out there because it's better to be out there now than and then decide you don't want to run,
right?
Than to not be out there and then decide you want to run and then try to go out because it's too late now.
And
because
there's a lot to learn, huh?
It takes a while for people to get to know you. It takes a while for people to get the name, for you to get the name recognition. You can put all the signs up you want. But people still are not going to know who you are because if you haven't been seen in the community, they haven't had an opportunity to talk to you. They haven't had an opportunity to meet you, to see how you carry it.
And they've got to see you 5 or 6 times to start to remember you.
Yeah. They have to see your face in a lot of places. And so anyone who's thinking about running again, it's better to be out now and make the decision you're not later on than to make the decision you are, but now it's too late because again, you haven't been in the right places and spaces.
Yeah, and you don't have to come out publicly and say that you're running right away.
You can even just say I'm thinking about it and I just want to get out and meet. I'm still testing the waters. And
so I would say that if someone out there watching the podcast is considering running for something, we do have information on our website. We'll put the link here.
Yes, we have a form to fill out, and then we are running a candidate academy. So you don't have to comment on something on Facebook at the last minute like Ronnie did. You can actually go through training this year, the off year, so you are ready to go in the election.
Yeah, so you'll be ready to go when it's time, but you don't have to come out and announce yet. So people who are running and who are already elected, probably pretty much they announce early. But if you're a private citizen and you're just trying to get interested, contact us. We'll get our political affairs person in touch with you. We'll get you some contacts and we'll get you ready.
And also start coming to the meetings. You really need to start, if you're thinking about running, coming to the Democratic Party meetings to just understand the process and what Democrats are thinking about and what Democrats are doing right now, and you learn a lot.
And you need to get to know a lot of people as well, and it's a good thing. I would say at this point in the calendar, it's a good time to get to know people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Network. Okay, well, it was great speaking to you today. Thanks for coming in and spending the afternoon with us. So just as I said, check our website, mctndp.org, if you are interested in running. If you would like to get in contact with Ronnie because you live in District 67 and you have an issue, how is the best way that we get in contact? Okay.
Yeah, so check all that stuff down there. All the social media is down at the bottom.
He's on social media. He's got emails. Okay. And everyone else, always make sure that you like and subscribe to our podcast so that you can see it in your feed. And thanks for being with us today. Come to a meeting. Okay, bye.
Here's what's pissing off Ronnie Glynn.
You hit me on my daggone knee, buddy. No, let me tell you, man, I was at this emerging leaders course. And one of the subjects were history.
Yeah.
Right? So the history guy comes up, and of course we're getting ready to get on the 250th year of America. So he said, and this guy starts talking about, how do we want to talk about history? Do we want to talk about what has taken place in history throughout time? And I can tell you that, man, people were not comfortable because when you look at history over time, every 50 years, you're talking about how blacks were being, treated.
Yes.
First there was segregation. Then there was Jim Crow. So what are we going to talk about this time?
Yeah.
Here at 250. And so, man, when I tell you folks were not happy.
It's uncomfortable.
It is very
supposed to be.
But he said in order to get to the other side, we have to go through it. People don't want to hear it.
And these are other state representatives from other states.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
They're not talking about it.
No, it's ugly. It's ugly, man. It's ugly.
Did you take the truth to him?
I let it go.
You let it go?
Because it's a course where we have to be cordial with each other.
Okay.
So we're going to be cordial.
Well, we got some folks out there. Mad about history.
They don't want to hear it.
That's what's pissing off Ronnie Glynn, y'all.
Damn right.